Well, hi everybody. I'm John Ridlin with every Royal Rumble winner ranked from worst to best, part 1. Why is this a two-parter, you might be asking? Well, 35 Royal Rumble winners would be hard to do all in one video and give the proper details and give the proper respect to, the best ones, but also to rant about the worst ones. And also, since the Royal Rumble is my favorite stipulation match in all of wrestling, I want to expand on some of this stuff. And plus, you guys like these ranking videos, so I wanted to make this more fun. I'm also going to have 10 Royal Rumble matches where the wrong person won up at some point. And I thank you guys very much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, again, 35 Royal Rumble winners because 2019 and 2018 had men's and women's Royal Rumbles. So there you go. 2 winners for each event there. So, well, I mean, it's a lot to cover. And I'd love to know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please leave your favorites. You can just leave a top 5, a top 10. You don't have to rank every single one, but I'd love to hear from you guys. So let's start off with the obvious one at number 35. Vince McMahon, 1999. I get why they did it. They wanted to keep the Vince McMahon, Stone Cold Steve Austin storyline going. But to me, this did more damage for the Rumble concept for this year and the following year. Even 2000 wasn't all that good, and I'll get into that one here in a little bit, don't worry. But Vince McMahon winning, sure, it just threw the Royal Rumble concept into the goddamn toilet. And even the first few incarnations weren't all that good, but they were building up some proper drama and everything, especially once they got to 92, 93 and stuff like that. And this just kind of, flatlined it for this one and the following one. And it was just very disappointing. Had Austin won, it probably would have been a much better idea. But, just Vince winning, it just, to me, was stupid. Even though I get it, to me, it was stupid. Number 34, Big John Studd in 1989. Big John Studd was at the end of his career. He would retire later that year. I mean, he won the Rumble and then was a referee for the Andre the Giant, Jake the Snake Roberts match at WrestleMania 5. And I don't think wrestled much after that because, again, he did retire. And it was cool. He did, he entered at number 27 and won the thing, so he was one of the first men, well, he was the first man to enter at 27 because the 1988 version was only 20 men. So he gets that distinction, but really he didn't do anything with it. And I mean, there's nothing against Big John Studd, who, was a really talented big man, and it's unfortunate he's no longer with us. And it was a nice, Lifetime Achievement Award, but it's just kind of there. I mean, it was cool to see the Rumble expanded to 30 men, but just it really didn't do anything for me. But I mean, good on him. We then get to number 33, Batista in 2014. Well, this was so well received, wasn't it? It was so well received. Wrestling Twitter at that time was an inferno. Good God, that was terrible. Batista wanted to come back as a heel. They really should have brought him back as a goddamn heel. It didn't work trying to bring him back as babyface, even though Batista himself is a likable guy. This just did not work at all. It was not well received, and it was especially not well received once the fans realized that Daniel Bryan was not in the Rumble, and poor Rey Mysterio. Good God, poor Rey Mysterio. But Batista's got booed out of the goddamn building. Now, he embraced it and was just, giving it right back to the crowd. Credit to him, but this did not end well, and it's a good thing that they, that the fans basically got Daniel Bryan into the main event, and that's what happened. It wasn't WWE's plan. They did not plan to push Daniel Bryan, no matter how much they tried to revisionist history. There's no way that anybody is going to forget that because they simply did not want Daniel Bryan to be in the main event. They wanted Batista and Orton. That wouldn't have worked well at all. But at least with Batista being, the winner, hey, it got more people on Daniel Bryan's side, even if it was completely unintentional. I can't say that this was necessarily a great Rumble, though Roman Reigns did have a good performance. And it was cool because Batista did enter the 2005 and 2014 Rumbles at 28 and won both of them. So that's a neat little factoid. I've actually done 2 Royal Rumble facts lists, one in 2018, and then I did one, it was either 2017 or 2018. And then I did another one just, a couple of days ago. So please make sure to check both those out. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, Batista, not a very good idea because, boy, the fans really shit on all of this. We then get number 32, Jim Duggan, 1988. I mean, it was cool he won it. But it was basically like a battle royal because, 20 men. I mean, it was the infancy of the goddamn thing. It was the first Rumble. But Jim Duggan winning, I mean, he had just come from, like, being in Mid-South, like, recently. He was working in WWE a bit. It was nice that he won it, because at this point, people were still taking Jim Duggan seriously before he became more of a joke as a comedy character. Not saying he was a joke as a wrestler, because he actually could go in the ring when he wanted to. But yeah, this was just kind of there. Nothing against Jim Duggan, but it was just kind of there, and Rumble would go on to bigger and better things. Number 31, Alberto Del Rio, 2011. The first ever and thankfully only 40-man Rumble, because we didn't need to see that many men human centipede together. That's right, I was going to work that joke in at some point. He was like, 37, 38? He was like, very late in the Rumble. If he had been like number 30, he'd been number 29 or 30, it probably would have worked a whole lot better, but it was a good idea in theory. It's good to experiment with it, and I was all on board with it. I remember ordering the pay-per-view and enjoying it, but with the benefit of hindsight, it didn't ultimately work. It did exhaust the crowd. They told some good stories, but with Del Rio winning, he would win, and then he wouldn't end up really doing anything afterwards. I mean, he would challenge Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania and not end up really doing much of anything with it. And that's kind of part of the thing with this list, is I'm trying to figure out, okay, how well was it received and what did they end up doing with their, with their Rumble momentum. And it's great that Edge was able to retire as champion, but it kind of undercut Del Rio. And yeah, he won the Money in the Bank and then got to cash in and be a WWE champion, but still, it was what it was. But at this point, it would have worked better had he entered earlier in the Rumble and survived longer and been like, oh, great, he actually earned it. But no, he's barely in there. He's like in there maybe, 10 minutes? 10, maybe 11? And that's not really all that much. There's a lot of Rumble victors that don't get all that much ring time. But still with this, it really kind of fell flat. Number 30, Sheamus, 2012. They were really trying to rocket Sheamus in 2012, and guess what didn't work? Trying to rocket Sheamus in 2012. And it's nothing against the guy, who is a very talented performer. He's a very good upper mid-card guy. He's a better heel than he is a face, in my personal opinion. But he's a likable guy. His Celtic Warrior Workouts, I believe that's the name of the YouTube channel. Great stuff. I mean, you can see the hard work that he puts in. And it's very entertaining stuff, especially for workout buffs. I'm not saying I am, but I can appreciate it. But they tried in 2009 when they gave him the championship against John Cena at TLC. He lost a couple months later. Then they gave him the WWE Championship again later in 2010. That didn't necessarily work, even though it was a longer reign, like about 4 months. 3-4 months. And then he would take this and he would beat Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 28 in a match so well received that he was getting booed the next night. Again, nothing against the performer, but they pretty much sacrificed Daniel Bryan getting, his head smashed in to get Sheamus over, and it ended up backfiring horribly and just got more people on Daniel Bryan's side. So Sheamus already had the legs cut out from under him anyway. It wasn't that he didn't perform well here, but the fallout just wasn't all that great either. And then we get to number 29, John Cena 2013. If they hadn't made it so obvious they were going for Cena Rock 2 Electric Boogaloo, then maybe people would have bought into it a little more. But yeah, this didn't ultimately work. Okay, this didn't work. This didn't work at all. It was fucking rotten. And it killed off what was left of Ryback, because Ryback did not win at Survivor Series. He did not win at TLC. And he didn't win the championship against Punk in that TLC match. Yeah, it was a TLC match they had on Raw. I think it was like the first Raw of 2013, if I recall correctly. And Punk was just off of having knee surgery. So, great idea to do that. Maybe, I don't know, have somebody sub for him or something. But anyway, Cena winning, I mean, him being a 2-time Rumble winner, it is what it is. I've kind of softened up on some of the stuff Cena's done. Not the Nexus thing. I'll never forgive him for that. But him winning this particular Rumble just didn't set well with me. Yes, he would beat Rock at Mania and then would hold it till SummerSlam, and he would lose it to Daniel Bryan. So, okay, in that sense, it was great. But this Rumble win was not that well received. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. I mean, I don't remember exactly what the reaction on Wrestling Twitter was, because I didn't become terribly active until around this time on Twitter, or around the time of this event, so it was about, 7 years ago. I do remember a lot of people not liking it. There were some people that were a little too insane, but that's another story for another day. Seeing his other win, let's see how well that's ranked, or how high that's ranked. Let's find out. So we get to number 28, Roman Reigns 2015. Another one so well received that wrestling Twitter was a goddamn inferno. Fucking hell. There were so many, apparently people were like pissed. They were trying to wreck cars and this kind of stuff. I mean, if you believe the story, I don't know how true it actually is, but Roman Reigns winning, once Daniel Bryan got eliminated, that pretty much killed up the whole thing. He got eliminated by Bray Wyatt after 8-10 minutes, something like that. And oh boy, once Roman Reigns entered and it was number 18, number 19, stuff like that, they were vehemently booing him, and my fucking God, when he won, they were having to turn things down. Now, the crowd did receive Roman Reigns pretty well against Batista the year before, and people were treating it like the Diesel situation in 1994, where he had a good run and everything, eliminated 7 people, and got eliminated, and the crowd was chanting Diesel, so they're like, okay, we're going to go with Diesel. They rocketed it too quick when he won the championship later that year. And then with Roman, it was kind of the same thing. I mean, they were building him. He did have that incarcerated hernia sometime right after SummerSlam, and thankfully was okay, and then came back, and they were rocketing him to the main event because he would face Brock Lesnar at Mania. And that ultimately didn't... It was better received in the Mania 34 match, but still. He just got so fucking booed out of the building, and it was just absolutely... It was basically despite the fans. There were some fans that liked it. I didn't, because I wanted Daniel Bryan to win. And I mean, now knowing how Daniel Bryan's health was at the time, I get why they went with this. But they really just ended up kind of destroying, they destroyed Reigns right there, because even though he had some fans, the amount of the amount of vile, hatred the fans had for him just got worse and worse and worse. And ultimately made them, pull the plug on him winning the championship from Lesnar at Mania 31. Had they had him win, had they not had Seth Rollins cash in, there might have been, there might have been a lot of pissed off fans. There would have been a lot of pissed off fans in that arena or in that stadium. That being said, it was cool to see him eliminate a bunch of people. I still say Kane holds the record, and Roman Reigns doesn't quite have it, but that is what it is. I'm a bit of a jackass when it comes to that stuff, but I can respect Reigns for at least doing the best he could with the role they gave him. We then get to number 27, Randy Orton in 2017. This one's ranked a lot higher than I anticipated. He eliminated one guy, and he was a Royal Rumble winner. I mean, that's Vince McMahon territory right there, because that's how many Vince McMahon eliminated in 1999, because he eliminated Stone Cold Steve Austin. Randy Orton winning here made no goddamn sense. Again, Wyatt in that other video, that 10 Rumble matches where the wrong person won video. Bit of a spoiler that I included that one. But Orton winning, I get what they were trying to do, but him being a 2-time Rumble winner, especially at that point where he had already had a lot of injuries and he really hadn't been motivated in a number of years. I mean, I'm sorry, the last time I saw him motivated to really do anything was when he hit that great RKO, and it was a spectacular RKO on Seth Rollins. It was a great one. I mean, he was so happy with himself, he forgot to do the cover for a minute. That was actually pretty funny. But Orton winning the 2017 one, I mean, yes, okay, it seemed, according to people that were there, and it seemed like a live crowd was actually pretty happy about it. It really wasn't that great, because it ended up, torching Bray Wyatt and various others and everything. And then, oh yeah, we got the Jinder Mahal title reign out of the fallout of this. Hooray! So we can blame Randy Orton for that. I didn't really care for this one, though. He eliminated one guy. Not even 2, not 3, not even 4. He eliminated one guy. Sorry, that's not very impressive. And also, the Rumble had its moments. It was pretty good. But Orton winning wasn't one of them. So we get to number 26, that is. We get Triple H in 2016. I popped initially for when he appeared. It was cool. It was great to see him appear. And then he won the championship. Had they gone with somebody else, and not had Triple H win, maybe it would have been better received. People were just wanting to see the title off of Roman Reigns because his WWE Championship was on the line in that Rumble. And Triple H winning the championship, okay, cool, it was a nostalgia prize. I had no desire to see him as champion even in 2009. And even in other years or whatever when he was still wrestling, when he would compete, either in top tier matches and stuff like that. I had no desire to see him as champion. And I definitely had no desire to see him as champion here, but at the time I was full on into not wanting to see Reigns as champion. I was just happy to see anybody with the title. How stupid was I? How stupid am I still? But with Triple H winning, it was just to get Roman Reigns over WrestleMania 32, which it did not do at all. Of course, you had, Dean Ambrose and Triple H compete at Roadblock. And excuse me here, but it was Roadblock. End of the line. I know that was a cheesy joke that a lot of people kept doing, for, weeks before, because that's how they would pause the whole thing for absolutely no reason. And Durb and I actually have that running joke, so that's actually pretty funny. But with this, it was such a nostalgia pop, but it ended up just being a way to get Roman Reigns a victory at Mania that nobody wanted, or at least vast majority of people didn't want. And it is what it is. We get to number 25, Lex Luger, 1994. Because when they announced him and Bret Hart as the co-winners and they played Lex Luger's theme, he got booed horribly. I mean, he got some bows, he got some cheers, but he got a lot of boos. Bret got a lot more cheers. So they had Luger compete against Yokozuna in, the first at Mania 10, and then Bret competed last. And had a better match with Owen Hart to open the show. Best WrestleMania opener ever. Yeah, Lex Luger, they were still trying with him at this point. They missed the boat by not giving him the championship at SummerSlam 93. Even though I didn't want it, they missed the boat. They had him celebrate like he freaking won the presidency. It was goddamn ridiculous. I didn't understand it at all. We then get to, but yeah, it just didn't work ultimately. We get to number 24, Stone Cold Steve Austin, 1997. Hey, he had a great showing. Number 5, he did goddamn well here. He did get eliminated technically, but he did eliminate 10 people. He had a great showing and everything. He had that great iconic moment where he, like that when, Bret Hart's music hit. That was cool. The big problem, is they didn't do anything with it because Shawn Michaels had won the championship back. They were going to go with Shawn and Bret. And then that all got muddied up because Shawn lost his smile, had his knee injury, gave up the championship. And then, that all got ridiculous. Sid would eventually end up with the championship, heading into Mania, and then Austin and Bret would tear the house down. So yeah, Austin winning was cool, but since he didn't get the championship opportunity, I mean, technically one-on-one at Mania, that kind of, pushes this one down a bit. The performance was great. The fallout from it is pretty much why this is ranked as low as it is. And then we get to number 23, Hulk Hogan, 1990. Look, Hogan was the WWF champion at the time, and that's what I'm calling it because it was WWF. The way you could have done this, you could have somebody else win, especially maybe the person that was going to challenge him, but Hogan winning, yes, it made sense, and they eventually got to their big title-for-title match at Mania. But Hogan winning was just almost a foregone conclusion. And yes, it popped the crowd because Hulkamania was still running wild at this time. But, since he would lose the championship to the Ultimate Warrior and then would be taken out by Earthquake and would be gone for a number of months, he would face Earthquake in house show matches, I think even at SummerSlam 90. Yeah, he got a big victory at the Rumble, and then after Mania was gone for a number of months. I don't know. This one, still, in hindsight, I get it, but it just didn't set well with me. But, I get why they did. Royal Rumble, it was only the 3rd Rumble. So, of course, they were going to have to give Hogan one of them. But then we get to number 22, The Rock in 2000. If The Rock had won the championship at WrestleMania, this probably would have been ranked a whole lot higher. I mean, he won the 2000 Royal Rumble. I got to admit, probably was of the big matches on the show. Like, you got the tables match, between the Dudleys and the Hardys. You got the You got, Triple H versus Cactus Jack, and of course the swimsuit competition. I mean, who could forget that? Oh wait, let's all try to forget that because it was revolting. Seriously, just what? Why? Why in the world would you do that? This Rumble match had its moments. Rikishi did have a dominant, run. Rock and Big Show. And holding with Kai and Ty and stuff like that. But just looking at Rock winning, again, him winning a Rumble was natural and they should have done it. But he didn't win the championship at Mania 2000. And yeah, while Triple H winning might have been the right call. Maybe not. Maybe not. Depends on who you talk to. It just didn't work because it made Rock's victory seem ridiculous. And then, he sent Big Show over the top, and actually Rock's feet hit the floor just before Big Show's did. But they just ignored that, and then it turned it into a storyline because people saw it, and it was what it was. And yeah, it was cool, but Fallout didn't really work. Number 21, Asuka, 2018. If Asuka had won the championship and beaten Charlotte at WrestleMania 34, top 10. Easily. Asuka winning was cool. Her eliminating both the Bella Twins, who never should have been in that Rumble, because they weren't any goddamn good in the ring, and I will stand by that. And sorry to any Bella fans that are watching. I am a diehard, believer that the Bellas were never any good in the ring. I stand by that. At least as far as championship runs. I can say they're bad people. Not going to say anything bad deserves to happen to them, but talking about the wrestling characters in the ring, didn't care for them. Back to Asuka. Cool that she eliminated some people, and she did look dominant. She entered later in the Rumble. I would have preferred almost that she entered number 19 or 20. She entered later. She did have a cool run. But the fact that she did not beat Charlotte was fucking ridiculous. I fucking hated it. I fucking hated how she did not beat Charlotte. I remember watching that, and I'm just like, why? What is it with New Orleans, WrestleManias and streaks being beaten? I mean, sure, Asuka's streak was nowhere near as iconic as The Undertaker's, but for fuck's sake, Taker loses his streak at Mania 30, Asuka loses hers at Mania 34. Just stop having WrestleManias in the Superdome. No offense to any of my friends in New Orleans, but please, stop having streaks end in the Superdome. Yeah, I really feel bad because that kind of hurt Asuka. What really hurt Asuka was the fallout and the feud with Carmella. That's a whole nother story for another day. Number 20, Brock Lesnar, 2003. He beat Big Show earlier in the Big Show. Sounded a bit like a euphemism. And then would enter number 29. He would end up eliminating various people, including Undertaker to win the thing. That was cool. He'd be gone from the company like 14, 15 months later, which was hilarious. But Brock winning made sense. Made absolute sense. Capitalized on the guy. He got a lot of shit in like the 2 years he was on the main roster. And it made total sense for Brock to win this. And he did win the championship from Kurt Angle. Nearly breaking his own neck. I mean, he suffered a huge concussion doing that goddamn shooting star press. But with this, it made sense to do it in this case, because at least with Brock winning and Brock beating Angle and then having a dominant run as champion, having a run as champion and losing it to Kurt Angle and then beating Kurt Angle a little bit later, to win it back and then hold it till No Way Out 2004 where Eddie won. Fucking Christ, I miss Eddie Guerrero. At least it made sense, and they capitalized on it with Brock and made him look like a goddamn beast. Okay, maybe the build-up is a little bit weird. But the Rumble win, the Mania win, it was good stuff. It was a good way to capitalize on it. We get to number 19, Hulk Hogan, 1991. It made sense in this respect. When Sergeant Slaughter beat the Ultimate Warrior, he's a new champion. Hogan winning made sense. He was no longer the champion. Him winning this Rumble made absolute sense. Because then at least, even though it would be a couple years before they would say, hey, the winner of the Rumble gets the opportunity to, not as I say on Twitter, the joke, but earn a championship opportunity at WrestleMania. And in the case of some, they would cash it in sooner. With Hogan winning that, it made sense because then he could challenge Slaughter and he had a reason and stuff like that. So I got this one. This is ranked a little bit higher. I mean, yeah, I'm still not the biggest fan of Hogan, maybe the person, but you can't argue that this one wasn't pretty damn cool. And he won the championship. And he held it till Survivor Series 1991, where Hulkamania was dead, Monsoon. So we get to one more, and then I'm actually going to wrap this up and everything, and I'll continue the rest of the list in the next video. But we get to number 18, John Cena 2008. Well, when he showed up at number 30 after having a pectoral injury that was apparently supposed to keep him out for a very long time, 9 months. I mean, they could have inflated that just so it was shocking when he made a return, but apparently the injury is pretty goddamn severe. Good on him. Good on him for recovering. However he did. However he supplemented that return. I'm not saying, just saying. Not that he'd be the only one. But Cena did return number 30. It was a big deal. It was a big pop and everything. I probably could have ranked this one a little bit lower, but the fact that he made such a shocking return, yeah, he cashed in his opportunity at Randy Orton, and that didn't work, and then was included in a triple threat at Mania 24 when the lights went out. No, I'm not talking about the 5 song. That's a deep cut for pop music fans. Yeah, she got pinned by Randy Orton. And then would actually not become champion again until later that year. The world champion at, what was it, Survivor Series 2008? I think he'd face off against Chris Jericho. It was a very, very odd time. But that's where I'm actually going to leave this list off. John Cena, ending the list right here. So I'm going to continue it with part 2 here in a bit. Agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I can do this in this outro. I've always done it. And I always screw it up. But I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.